Welcome students to EPG Pathshala. I am Subrat Kumar Acharya from Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha. Today we shall discuss on one of the important aspects of Indian epigraphy, that is ancient Indian numerals. In this module, we shall discuss certain objectives. The main objective of this module is to get familiar with the numerous systems of notations known to the people living in the past. It is also important to focus on how and when the decimal system of notation that people across the world use today was invented in India, and the knowledge flowed out of it and transmitted to other countries in course of time. So we have two objectives in this module. First of all, we shall talk about the numerical system of notation. This is the earliest system of notation that was prevalent in India. This system of notation was used in early India, and this is evident from the inscriptions found from different parts of India, particularly from the time of Ashoka and onwards, Mauryan period onwards. Now in the Brahmi script, we find this notational system was prevalent, and starting from the time of Ashoka, almost continuously, most of the ruling dynasties or ruling families of India, like the Satavahanas, the Kushanas, the Guptas and others, they continued this system. So the prevalent practice in early India was the numerical system of notation, and it is a very peculiar method of notation that was known to the Indians. And prior to the commencement or prior to the practice of decimal place value notation, this particular system was prevalent throughout India, and this is known as the numerical system of notation. And in this numerical system, the first three numerals are expressed by 1, 2 and 3 horizontal strokes. From 4 to 9, there are special symbols. There is also a distinct figure for each of the orders of numbers, such as 10 and its multiple up to 90, as has also separate signs for 100, for 1000. Thus there are 20 basic signs. First three numbers are there, then 4 to 9 there are special symbols, 10 and its multiples there are special symbols up to 90, and there is also a separate sign for 100 and 1000. All total there are 20 basic signs, and the intermediate units are expressed by simply adding their signs. The Ashokan rock edicts furnish the earliest evidence of the use of numerical symbol. Minor rock edicts found from Rampurba, Gurjara, Siddhapur, Eragudi, and at many places we find the figure 256 or 256 that is mentioned in the Ashokan rock edicts. Now after the Ashokan rock edicts, in the inscriptions of the Satavahanas and Kushanas, we also find at number of places the use of this numerical system of notation. Particularly in the Nanghat cave inscription, we find there are a number of examples where the numerical system of notation was used. Similarly, in the Kushana inscriptions, we find the use of the system of notation. It is also found in the coins and inscriptions of the Western Kshatrapas who were ruling in Gujarat region, and the highest number expressed is 70,000 in one of the inscriptions of the Satavahanas, and this is known from the Nanghat inscription of Nayanika, who was the queen of Satakarni first. Now so far as the system of notation is concerned, you can see very well in this slide. 1 is expressed by a single horizontal stroke, 2 is expressed by 2 horizontal strokes, 3 is expressed by 3 horizontal strokes. From 4 to 9 you find separate symbols. 4 is having a cross with a top stroke above, 5 is a vertical with a slanting stroke on the right side, 6 is the sign as mentioned, as specified here. 7 is also a a left facing curve, 8 is a right facing curve, and 9 is also a left facing curve. Similarly, from 10 to 90, we have at least 9 symbols, and the 9 symbols are the multiples, 10 and its multiples. 10 is expressed by a circle with 2 strokes, 20 is almost a circle. Similarly, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90 are denoted by separate symbols. Here you can see the figure of 90 and 80 and 90. 80 is a circle and a vertical. It is expressed by a circle and a vertical. 90 is having a cross mark inside a circle. Similarly, there are separate signs or symbols for 100 and 1000. So, all total if you count, so there are 20 symbols in this numerical system of notation, and these are the symbols again made in the first row. You can find 9 symbols, and in the second row you can find again 9 symbols, and in the third row you can find a symbol for 100 and a symbol for 1000. Here you can find that how 200 is expressed. Now 200 is expressed by adding a stroke to the right of the symbol for 100. Similarly, 500 is expressed by adding the symbol of 5 to the right of the symbol 100, and the two symbols 100 and 5, they are connected by a separate stroke. Similarly, 1000 is there, and if you want to write 4000, you have to put this symbol for 4 on the right side of 1000, and both the symbols are to be connected by a separate stroke. Similarly, 70,000, here you can see the figure 70,000 that is expressed. The symbol for 1000 is there, and the symbol for 70 is added to the right of the symbol for 1000. And now we shall come to the working of the system, how the system was working. And basically this system of numerical notation is an additive and multiplicative system. By the word additive and multiplicative, we can gather an idea that it is at the same time an additive and multiplicative system. Means some numbers are to be added and some are to be multiplied to get the desired number. Now, in order to express, now let me cite an example. In order to express this number 777, first of all the symbol for 100 with the symbol for 7 attached to it on the right is to be written. Then the symbol for 70 is to be inscribed, and finally the symbol for 70 is to be placed. So, first of all we have to write 100, and it is to be added with the symbol for 7 to express 700. So, here 100 is multiplied with 7 to express 700. Then the symbol for 70 will be inscribed, and finally a separate symbol for 7 is to be placed to its right. Now, the symbol for 700 is in fact expressed in a multiplicative manner, because 100 is multiplied with 7, 100 into 7 is equal to 700, while the other two symbols such as 70 and 7 are added to get the required number. Now, this is an indigenous system that was practiced by the ancient people of India, but there is a controversy regarding the origin of the system. Some scholars, they say that it was invented outside India and it was brought to India by some ancient people, but some other scholars say that it was originated in India, and there is a lot of debate among the scholars throughout the latter part of 19th century and throughout 20th century, but it appears that the system was originated in India. Now, if you look back to this debate, Prinsep was probably the first to believe that the numerical symbols derived from the characters for the initial letter of the Sanskrit word for each number. It was Bhagwan Lal Indraji who in the year 1877 advanced another theory that rests on the assumption that all the numerical symbols excepting the first three were denoted by either letters or group of letters. So Bhagwan Lal Indraji for the first time opined that possibly the numerical systems, the numerical symbols, they denoted some letters or some syllables. Now there is another group of scholars who opine that the system originated in some foreign countries like Egypt or Babylon, and then it was transmitted to India, and the proponents of this foreign origin system were mainly Cunningham and E.C. Bailey. Alexander Cunningham inclined to believe that the Brahmi symbols from 5 to 9 resemble the Aryano-Pali or Kharosthi letters for initial symbols of the words for each number, but this superficial resemblance Lockback rejected. E.C. Bailey opined that the Brahmi numerical system was derived from various sources like Phoenician, Egyptian, Bactrian, and possibly from cuneiform. So E.C. Bailey is of the opinion that the numerical system of notation in Brahmi was derived from different sources like Phoenicians, Egyptians, Bactrians, and also from cuneiform. But this is also not tenable, because we see that the numerical system of notation was basically an Indian origin, and it was practiced by the ancient people, at least starting from the Mauryan period, when the Brahmi was used by the rulers and the people for writing the inscriptions. Now we shall talk about another system of notation that was current in India after the numerical system of notation, and that is the decimal place value notation. And this system was used by people throughout India, throughout the world today. And there is also a controversy regarding the origin of the decimal system. We shall come to this later on. And this system of notation, in this system of notation, decimal system notation, there are only 9 unit figures and a 0, and it is a place value notational system, and the system was originated in India. It was later on taken by the Arabs to Persia, and then the Europeans borrowed the system from the Arabs. Hence it is often called as Hindu-Arabic or Indo-Arabic numerals. The Indian astronomers and mathematicians used this system in their works. Now, although there is some controversy regarding the origin of the decimal place value system, we find that this system was particularly originated in India by the astronomers and mathematicians of the Gupta period. Now Barahmira in his Panchasiddhantika uses this system. For the first time we come across the use of this system in Barahmira's work Panchasiddhantika, and the work was composed at Ujjaini in Saka era 427 or 505 Common Era. Later on it was also used by Bhaskara in his commentary on Aryabhatyam. So Bhaskara and Barahmira were the two first astronomers and mathematicians who had used in their works this decimal place value system. And so far as the inscription is concerned, the Mankani grant of Taralaswamy is dated in Kalachuri era 346, equivalent to 594-95 Common Era, and this inscription is considered as the earliest epigraph in India where the decimal system of notation was used. And this particular inscription is again a controversial inscription, because some scholars dubbed it as a spurious document, while some other scholars relied on this inscription as a genuine one. Anyhow, the use of the decimal place value notation by Barahmira and Bhaskara in their astronomical works and the date of the Mankani inscription of Taralaswamy coincides, and that's why some scholars believe that it was a genuine document, and the decimal place value was perfectly used in this document. Now, there was also a transitional phase, and this phase is very important because all on a sudden, when the decimal place value system was used by the astronomers, so there was some sort of confusion among the writers in the court and even by the common man in India. So there was a transitional phase in whether to accept totally the numerical system of notation or to use totally the decimal system of notation. People were confused to use or distinguish the method of using these two system of notation, and the transition from the numerical to decimal system took several centuries. If we call that the decimal system was used in the 6th century Common Era, then it took at least 3-4 centuries to comprehend the system and to get the system used in the inscriptional literature. The Eastern Ganga records exhibit how the new system was used alongside the old one. The Eastern Gangas were ruling over the Kalinga region, that is in the southern part of Orissa and northern part of Andhra Pradesh, and in their inscription we find there are a number of examples where the numerical system of notation was used alongside the decimal system of notation, and that's why there was a big confusion among the writers of the court how to get perfection in the use of the decimal system of notation. The scribes in the court could not properly comprehend the place value notational system and wrongly used the symbols in engraving the numbers. In Eastern India, the Siddhantam plates of Devendra Burman displays the earliest example of the use of the new system. It may be noted here that the Eastern Gangas had founded an era, and the beginning of era is in the year 498 AD, and the Siddhantam copperplate grant of Devendra Burman, it is dated in 195 Ganga era, and it comes to 693 Common Era. So that was the first inscription where we find the proper correct use of the decimal system of notation in eastern part of India. Now outside India, this system was also used in some of the stone inscriptions found from Southeast Asia, and most of the dates are mentioned in the Saka era. At least 3 inscriptions of Sri Vijaya, 2 found at Palembang in Sumatra, and the third one found from the island of Bangka, mention the dates in Saka 605, equivalent to 683 Common Era. The other one is 606 Saka era, equivalent to 684 Common Era, and the third one is 608 Saka era, equivalent to 686 Common Era, and all the 3 inscriptions are used in decimal figures. So numerical system of notation was not practiced in the Southeast Asian inscriptions, some of the Southeast Asian inscriptions, and from the later part of 7th century Common Era, we find the perfect use of the decimal system in Southeast Asia. Thus, by the close of the 7th century, the system was transmitted to Cambodia and Indonesia. Now, coming to the decimal figures, we have 9 figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, and there is also a circle denoting 0. So, there are 9 figures and a 0. So, these figures are used as Nagari numerals around the 11th century Common Era. It is also a place value system where 1 is unit, 10, 1 and 0. This is 10, 100 is expressed by 1 and 2 zeros, 1000 is expressed by 1 and 3 zeros, and similarly you can find any number, you can use any number by adding zeros. Now besides these 2 systems of notation, one is the numerical system of notation, the other one is the decimal place value notation, there is again another system of notation which was known to the people of ancient India. And this is known as the chronogrammatic notation. And in Sanskrit language, there is only one word to indicate a number, that is eka, dvi, tri, etc. But there are several other words that can be somehow associated with particular numbers. Such words often denote things, beings, or concepts and have some association with the numbers. They were used by early astronomers and mathematicians in their metrical compositions. The application of the principle of place value is another important characteristic of this system. Like decimal place value notation, this chronogrammatic notation is also the principle of place value notation is used. The chronograms are arranged in accordance with positional value, and unlike the decimal system, here the units are mentioned first, followed by the chronograms of higher orders. In the decimal place value notation, we find the units are used first and then it is followed by positional value. But here in chronogrammatic notation, the chronograms of higher orders are made first or used first, and then lesser numbers, lesser units are mentioned. In other words, the chronograms are arranged from left to right, but in order to obtain the required number, they are to be reversed. For example, in order to indicate the number 2017, we may use the words like Sindhu, Sashi, Gagana, Nayana, where Sindhu stands for 7, Sapta Sindhu, Sashi for 1, Sashi means moon, it indicates 1, Gagana for 0, and Nayana or eye for 2 eyes. Sindhu, Sashi, Gagana, Nayana. If we reverse the order, we can get the desired number 2017. Sindhu stands for 7, Sashi for 0, Gagana for 1 and Nayana for 2. And these can be reversed from, you can start from 2, Nayana, Gagana, Sashi and Sindhu. That's why you can say 2107, and this particular system is known as Ankanam Bhamata Gati, or it is to be moved from right to left, 2107. If you reverse the order, then you can get the number 2017. Use of chronogrammatic system. The system was popular in metrical compositions. Most of the metrical compositions, they while using the figures, they were using such type of chronograms in their compositions, metrical compositions. Later on, this system was also popularized in inscriptions. From 10th, 11th century inscriptions of India, we find the use of chronogrammatic system. It is mostly found in the epigraphs of medieval period. Starting from 10th, 11th century to 17th, 18th century, we find this type of chronogrammatic system. Now, in South India, a distinct method was used or system was used, and this was known as Kattapayadi system, and the name is derived from the letters from different burghers of the consonants. The letters of alphabets had some numerical value. The name is derived from the class of consonants from which the number started. Ka stands for 1, Ta stands for 1, Pa again stands for 1. Vowels were devoid of any numerical. In this particular system, vowels had no numerical value at all. Only consonants were having some numerical value, number value. In conjunct consonants, only the last consonant has a numerical value. The first consonant has absolutely no value, only the last consonant has some numerical value. The right to left arrangement is followed. In this system, the right to left arrangement is followed. Now, in this slide, you can very well know how or which letter is to be denoted by which figure. Now, in the first column, you find Ka, Ta, Pa, Ya, they denote 1. Similarly, in the second column, you will find Kha, Tha, Pa, Ra, they denote 2. Similarly, Ga, Da, Ba, La, they denote 3. Gha, Dha, Bha, Va, they denote 4. Na, Na, Ma, Sa, they denote 5. In the sixth column, you will find Cha, Ta, Sa, 7th column cha, tha, sha. In the 8th column ja, da, ha, they denote 8. Similarly, jha, dha, la, they denote 9, and nya and na, these two dentals, they denote 0. So this is the Kattapayadi system that was prevalent in South India, that too in the later part of early medieval period and in the medieval period. Now there are two distinct methods which were used in Ceylon and Burma. In manuscript writings of Ceylon, we find another system that is a very peculiar system that was practiced in Ceylon. And in Ceylonese manuscripts, another method of numeration was used, which was very much akin to Kattapayadi system. According to this system, ka, ka, ki, ku, etc. and had the value respectively of 1 to 16. Now here you can find one letter, one consonant is added with some medials, and all total there are 16 such medials which were added to the consonant, and they actually represent 1 to 16. And similarly, the other 33 consonants with 16 aksharas, each were similarly numbered continuously up to 544. That is the last figure of the manuscript pagination. And similarly, when the manuscript exceeds 544, then you will find again the repetition would be there. The numbers beyond 544 were expressed by beginning again as 2 ka, 2 ka, 2 ki, etc. and so on. These are the 34 letters, class of letters: ka, kha, ga, gha, wa, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma, la, ya, ra, la, la, sa, 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 ha, kya. These are the 34 letters which are used in Ceylonese manuscript. The above 34 letters have 16 numbers each with the application of medials, and they denote certain numbers. They could be consecutively numbered up to 544. 34 into 16, it comes to 544. After that, the system is repeated with the addition of 2 before the consonant. Thus 2 ka represents to 545 and so on. Now similarly, in Burma, the manuscript writers used almost a similar pattern of pagination, and in Burma the same letter, same system was used with the omission of ra, ra, la and la, so that ka to kaha would indicate the numbers from 1 to 12. Summary. Now we shall come to the summary. Thus the Ashokan edicts furnish the earliest evidence of the use of some notational system in India, and as we have discussed that the Minor Rock Edict 1 gives an idea about the use of Brahmi numerical notation. 256 is the number which is mentioned in the Minor Rock Edicts of Ashoka. The numerical system of notation in Brahmi with 20 symbols was probably originated in India sometime before 3rd century BCE when Ashoka used the system. This was an additive and multiplicative system. It was later on popularized by many subsequent ruling dynasties like the Satavahanas, the Shaka-Kshatrapas, the Kushanas, the Guptas and their contemporaries, because in the inscriptions of all these dynasties we come to know about the use of the numerical system of notation, and particularly in the Western Kshatrapa coins and inscriptions we find in each and every coin of Western Kshatrapas we find the reference to the dates which are mentioned in the coins. Now similarly the Guptas, they dated their inscriptions in their own era, and while using the era they also used the numerical system of notation, and all the contemporaries of the Guptas they had also used it. And particularly so far as we have already discussed, the Satavahana inscription, particularly the Nanaghata inscription of Nayanika, the queen of Satakarni. This is one inscription where you can find a number of figures which has been expressed in the numerical system of notation. And the next system of notation, that is the decimal place value system of notation, was widely used today It was again originated in India in the 6th century Common Era. It first of all traveled to Southeast Asia, more precisely to Cambodia and Indonesia, then to Ceylon and subsequently to Persia by the Arabs. From there, the Europeans, they borrowed the system. The chronogrammatic system was in use in metrical texts of early India, mostly the astronomers and mathematicians of early India of the Gupta time. They used the system of chronograms in their works to connote different numerical figures. Inscriptional use of the system dates back to 8th century Common Era, but it was widely popular in the inscriptions of India after 11th century Common Era. The Kattapayadi system could be termed as letter or consonant numeration method, where each consonant had certain number value. It was mostly practiced in South Indian inscriptions from 11th to 14th century Common Era. In the Ceylonese and Burmese manuscripts, we come across another system of numeration by the use of letters of the alphabets. This is all about the ancient Indian numerals and numerical systems which were practiced in the texts and the inscriptions. Thank you.